Hi there, I'm Jon Bassoff, and I'm going to be reading from my latest novel, The Lantern Man. Happy birthday, Sadie. When I was just a kid, maybe 8 years old, I witnessed my first miracle. It was early summer in Leadville, nighttime, and the carnival was in town. Harrison Avenue, the main strip, was closed off to make room for all of the rides like the Tilt-A-Whirl and the Carousel and Kamikaze and Ferris Wheel. Me, I must have gone on that kamikaze 10 times or more, swinging backwards and forwards, terrified, screaming my little head off. Other things I remember from that night: a girl in sequin twirling a baton, a man in a tuxedo walking on stilts, a fire juggler and a sword swallower and a mind reader. And then there was the magician. Yes, I remember him well. He stood in front of the old Tabor Opera House, a 3-story building made of stone and brick and Portland cement. On the wrought iron fence, the magician hung a banner, the amazing Resurrector, colored in bright orange, yellow, and red. The magician was an obese man, and sweat slathered his face. He wore black pants, a white dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up, a black vest, and a black necktie. A pork pie hat lay askew on his head. There wasn't much of a crowd because people didn't think he was much a magician. They were wrong. While the street lamps flickered above, he made a coin vanish and stole somebody's watch and guessed somebody's playing card. A few people applauded. Most people left. I was transfixed. At some point, with much pomp and circumstance, he lifted a piece of cloth revealing a caged rabbit. By this time, other than a drunk or two, I might have been the only person watching. The magician took an interest in me, winking and grinning, giving me the business. And then there was one, he said. But, if you don't mind my saying so, you look like a magician yourself. In fact, I would venture to say that you possess some powers that you didn't even know that you had. I was shy, so I nodded without saying a word. And, are you curious about your powers? Yes, I said, after a moment. He showed me the rabbit up close. Do you like him? He asked. Do you think he's precious? I've named him Whiskers. Can you figure out why? I thought this one over. Because he has long whiskers, I think. That's right, exactly right. I could tell you were a smart boy, and now, would you like to pet him? I nodded my head yes. He moved the little bunny, nose twitching toward me, and I smoothed its fur with my fingers. This rabbit was the cutest, most special thing in the entire world. I loved him. I wanted to take him home with me. But the love was short-lived because at that moment the magician snatched Whiskers away from me. Teeth bared and eyes wild, he raised the animal high in the air and then proceeded to slam him against the pavement once, twice, 3 times. I was too shocked to scream. Instead, I just stared at little Whiskers, now a pile of blood and skin and bones, with my mouth open wide. And now the magician looked at me, and he grinned a sinister grin. Oh no, he said. Little Whiskers has had an accident. A terrible accident. It looks like he's dead, doesn't it? I broke into tears, not so much because he'd killed the rabbit, but because for just a moment I had thought he was going to give me Whiskers to take home as a pet. I would have loved to have snuggled with him and petted him and fed him. He bent down until his fat red face was just inches from mine and said, Oh Lord, I hated that someone as smart as you is crying. Are you crying because of Whiskers' accident? Are you crying because Whiskers is dead? Is that why you're crying? I might have nodded my head. Wipe your eyes, little hero, wipe your eyes. And now, with great care, he covered the mutilated rabbit with his hat. He looked up at me and grinned and winked. Oh, come on. Wipe those tears from your eyes. It's not so bad. Do you know why they call me the amazing Resurrector? I shook my head no. Well, a resurrection means to bring back to life, and so that's what I do. First I kill, but then I bring back. Would you like me to bring back Whiskers? Yes, I said. Bring him back. I'd like very much to. Today, however, I'm a bit weak. Today I think I need your help. Do you remember how I told you that you have powers? Yes, I whispered, I remember. Well, you're going to use those powers to help me, to help Whiskers. Do you believe me? I don't know. He placed his wand into my hand. I need you to believe. It's very important. And now what I'd like you to do is tap on the hat 3 times with this magic wand, okay? I managed to stop crying, but my lower lip was still trembling. Okay. I was about to tap, but he grabbed my hand. Oh, I almost forgot. Before you do that, I need you to say the magic spell. It's very important. What magic spell? 5 words. Can you remember 5 words? I think so. Okay then, here are the 5 words. Death will turn into life. Can you say that? Death will turn into life? I looked at him, and then the hat under which Whiskers, his crushed skull seeping blood and brains, lay. Slowly I said, Death will turn into life. Then I tapped the hat 3 times, just like he told me. Now then, he said, picking up a flashlight and waving it above the hat, lift up the hat. With great trepidation, I placed my hand on the brim of the black bowler's hat and slowly lifted it upwards. I peered beneath the hat and saw the rabbit, Whiskers, only now he wasn't bloody. Only now he wasn't dead. He looked at me with those big black eyes, nose twitching once again, and I could barely contain myself. Whiskers, I said. He's alive. I made him alive. The magician laughed. Indeed you did. Now when I looked around, I saw that there were dozens of people again, and they were all smiling and cheering and clapping. Had they been here the whole time? And my boy, he said, if your parents give you permission, I would very much like it if you would take Whiskers home as a pet. More cheers and applause. My mother and father and sisters were among those that were cheering. I turned toward them. Can I? I asked, wide-eyed. Can I take Whiskers home as a pet? My father looked at my mother, and my mother looked at my father. Then my father nodded his head and said, it's very kind of the magician. Yes, you may have a pet. We're happy to welcome Whiskers into our house. I jumped up and down with joy. To this day, it is still one of the greatest moments of my life. The magician handed me the rabbit and smoothed my hair with his hand. He'll make a great pet. I'm sure you'll love him. And so I took the rabbit home and made him my pet. He sure was a sweet little fellow. But Whiskers didn't live very long. Maybe 3 weeks, and then his body stiffened and he stopped moving. I cried and cried. My father buried him in the garden, and I wondered for a long time if he would come to life again. But he never did. Thanks very much.